Welcome back to a year of poetry. I'm so glad that you're here this week. This week we're going to be looking at two poems that I like quite a lot. One a little older and one that's brand new. And we're going to mix it up today. Instead of doing the new one first, we're going to do the old one first and the new one second. So this is an older poem that I wrote years ago called The Windows of Regret. And this poem very clearly, it's about when a breakup happens, when a relationship ends. It's hard, it's tough, it's easy to put all the blame and all the pain in one corner. But a few months or years down the road, when you're looking back at an old relationship, there are glimmers of light that maybe you miss, or you say it wasn't that bad all the time. And this poem, for me, without being too specific, is about a relationship that ended. And looking back on it years down the road, there are some things that I enjoyed or appreciated about the relationship, even though it had ended. But of course, having a new life, having a new relationship to go on with, I think this poem was just my way of expressing to the universe some little fragment of regret. So this is called The Windows of Regret. Through a dark window, I see a house I once was in. I see the dust of the days lying upon the furniture I used and once I loved, but now I have forsaken. Regrets lie heavy through that dark and filmy window, words I said but didn't mean, and things I never spoke. Now I'm standing again before this empty home, looking at the outer shell and feeling the past in me. I long to feel a smile growing on my face, but the darkened windows and the clouded rooms bring me to places I can't return to. I'd open the door and step inside, but I can't. I locked it soundly. I closed it up against the future, and I no longer have the key or the true will to advance. I only stare silently through the windows of regret, and slowly, slowly I turn, walking, then weeping away. I have a new home now, with windows bright and clean. I have hopes and expectations abounding there, with love sweeping daily throughout and wiping away my life dust. It is to my home my thoughts turn. It is to my new home I go now, to rest in the arms and the light that wait for me there. And that's The Windows of Regret. I feel that one's very poignant to me, personally. And I think that everybody could relate to this. Anybody who's been through a breakup, a relationship that meant something and then it ended, there's always that glimmer of could have been different. I could have said more. I could have done more. And I wish I had said more. I wish I had done more to get back or whatever. So let's look at the second poem then. Okay. The next poem that I wrote this week, every once in a while, I like to write a poem that's a double entente, that you could read into in a couple of ways. And sometimes I end them in a very obvious, joking manner, and sometimes I leave them obscure. But this is one of those that I think is a very good double entente. I wrote it at the moment I was writing it, I had both images in my mind. So I hope that it plays on both levels. And so here it is. The name of the poem is Mouse Cage. So here we go, Mouse Cage. When he looks out on the world that he has, it's only to see that freckle of blue, that one corner of light and color that has been left him to make his torture complete. His mind wanders back each time he is lonely, to the breath of freedom he tasted once. A half a day beyond the clasp of his polished bars, 6 hours of release from the strains. Now he lives for the minutes, separated by agonizing days, when he is shuttled across the vast, unyielding distance from his solitary pen to the exercise yard, back again to the silent hell after just 1 hour. He had a cellmate once, one to share the moments with, but that was long ago, before the emptiness. She died. He was left alone. She was set free. He is here. And if he remembers her, I've never heard him say. And so the days drag on, coming longer and longer, preying on the bitter thoughts that seep into his head. He knows how to please the master, how to get an extra snack, play cute, give them a show. In the end, he's a good mouse. So obviously that's a mouse cage, and I'm sure you got the metaphor of the prison cell, the prisoner. So that was a poem written about my mouse, and also about prison, because I love Jim Croce and Johnny Cash, and they love writing prison songs. So yeah, that's my little mouse homage. Well, that wraps up our poetry for this week. Join me next week when we'll have more new poems. Don't know what we'll have. Probably going to have another story poem, because I'm thinking about that one. So see you next week, and keep writing. Bye.